for coaching. Fuck, man.
Pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
I've always enjoyed your movies. Okay, so I gotta ask you, John Cena and Alison Brie seem like kind of an interesting, unique pairing. How was the chemistry between the two of them while shooting in the jungle?
It was exactly like what you have on screen. I mean, they're both very, very funny people.
Yeah,
They're both in real life, they're hilarious, right? John has that dry sense of humor, and Alison, we all know, is kind of like that never stopping goofball. She's they're off camera, they were riffing and joking, and it was really fun. So the chemistry was right there off camera, and I think it translates on camera. It was fun. It was really fun. And when you have to go through, if you're in the jungle for weeks, in the heat, in the rain, in the mosquito infested places, you bond over the elements, and that was part of the chemistry too, I think.
So John Cena has a ton of experience in terms of action movies, but I've never seen Alison Brie in an action movie before. Would you say that there was a steep learning curve for her, or was it something? But she's in very good physical shape, especially after Glow.
Exactly, she's amazingly fit. I mean, I saw her working out, like she's like push-ups was like, you know, weights on her back, things I could never do. So she's extremely fit. So I think action was not an issue at all for her. She was ready for that. John, obviously, we know he's that beast of a man. He's like amazing physical capacity, and but yeah, Alison was actually pretty amazing. But it was not like a learning curve. She was ready. She was already fit enough to do as much as she could.
When you're choosing a tone for a movie like that, where you have a comedy but also has pretty hard-edged R-rated action, is that something that was tricky to pull off, or was it something that you felt pretty confident in doing? Because I mean, I like your movies a lot, but I find that they tend to be heavier. Like if I think of Peppermint and Taken, they're not necessarily, you know, as lighthearted as this one.
No, obviously it was a different genre. I think that's what attracted me to the movie. Actually, it is. Well, as you said, all my previous movies are mostly very dark thrillers and with very little fun and a lot of action. It's always extremely violent. I think when you know that the tone of the movie is going to be more of a comedic thing and like action comedy, one, you don't shoot action the same way. It still has to be impressive, but you're not looking for the same, not pulling the same strings. You're not going for the violence for actions for violence sake. You need to leave space for the comedy that's going to come within that. So it's just a different exercise, and it was a first for me to do comedy. I think the balance is doing well, and it's all about the timing actually. You have different timing when you do action for action and action for comedy.
What kind of movies were you inspired by? Because I mean, when I was watching it, I was thinking Romancing the Stone. That kind of thing must have been
that thing like Jewel of the Nile and those like late 80s like buddy movies were. That's what I grew up with. That's what I love. I think we don't see enough of them anymore. But this is exactly what I was inspired by.
I really enjoyed the start of the film where you're kind of through John Cena's perspective as he's going through. It's almost like Doom. I was wondering if you'd talk a little bit about how you shot that, because I think that was kind of a dynamic way to start the movie.
We wanted to not go through to tell the backstory of how our main character got to the point where we start the movie. We don't go to go through a classic like flashback way of doing things. So seeing like a shortcut of his previous life through his own eyes until we figure out who he is was an interesting way. So you have to do everything like a one person thing, like a video game. You go through things and you have to frame as if you were John. It was fun to shoot actually. We have to come up with we had rigs with cameras and helmets, and it was fun.
What was the trickiest?
A good way to introduce the character in a different way.
And what was the trickiest sequence to shoot? Because there are a lot of pretty extensive action sequences, particularly the last fight, I think, between Cena and Martin Zalkas. I was just wondering, what was the most complex sequence?
Well, actually, some of the early POV thing, point of view thing, that simple. Because driving with the camera right here and pretending to grab a baby, and it was not that simple. But otherwise, I think the there's that one big ambush on the bridge, which
Sure.
which was very actiony, and because it was on the bridge, it's not easy to access. And it was really tricky to shoot, but it was and fun. And in terms of all the fights, John is super good at memorizing like choreographies and hand-to-hand combat. Obviously,
For sure, yeah.
He's done that for a while, so he did everything himself. But it was a really painless process. It was because he's extremely efficient and he knows exactly how to make it look good, because years of WWE work is that way it's supposed to be. They know how it needs to land, how it needs to hit. They know.
Would you, is this the kind of thing that you'd like to see become a series? Would you want to do another one of these with John Cena and Alison Brie?
Oh, I'd love to. Honestly, I'd love to. It was fun. I'd love to. If this one is successful, which I hope, there's potential for more. And there's, when you see, if you will go till the end and look to the bloopers in the end credit, there's a lot of potential for more comedy.